Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Joy of the Hobby podcast. This is episode 3 in Essential Credentials production. Happy to be back. Got my buddy Ben, best
Hey,
co-host in
everybody.
the world here. What's up, dude? How you doing?
Very good.
Awesome. Glad that you made it. Another beautiful day here in California. Big surprise.
Yeah.
It was supposed to rain today, and of course it didn't. And it's been sunny
Shocker.
most of the day. So, yeah, beautiful day. Happy to be here. Happy to talk about cards. All the good stuff. How are you, man? What's new in your world?
Doing well. Like I mentioned to you, I'm sore. I've been hitting the workouts again pretty hard, and I am adjusting to that lifestyle. I'm sure you're feeling it a little bit from doing some more skating and some practice, some goalie practice.
Oh, dude, it's my hips have been finding more mobility than they've ever had. And I'm not a flexible person, so it's going to be a labor of love to get more flexible. But I've been having so much fun getting out. I skated out twice last week. I'll go 2 times a week from now on, Monday, Wednesday. And it's honestly been cool to see how it's kind of driven what I've been excited to collect as of late, like really what's bringing me joy in the hobby, like just learning how to play goalie and then going and looking for specific goalie cards, as I'm sure you saw in our month in review blog post. So that's really been bringing me a lot of joy last couple of weeks in the hobby. What about you? What's been bringing you joy in the hobby realm?
The biggest thing for me has been making more connections on some of the cards that I picked up that I mentioned in the monthly review. One of the cards that I picked up from a 2-card deal I made with a guy, Carl, on Instagram. He's a Griffey a day 365 on Instagram. Great dude, fun follow on Instagram. He posts everything on his Instagram, but then he lists on eBay as well. I bought 1 card from him on eBay and was interested in another one. He was like, hey, he reached out to me. I was like, yo, nice. I'm over here. We can make a deal offline if you want to chat a little bit. Same thing I learned from what I talked about with the deal I made with Ray. Chatted with him back and forth, talked a little bit, and was able to make a deal, a comfortable deal for the other card offline, and shipped well, arrived great, was super fun. And someone that I mentioned, when he has time, might be able to contribute to the blog or come on here and talk with us a little bit.
Yeah,
which is just
great.
That's one of the best parts. The cards are great, but finding people that are excited and having fun in the hobby is even more rewarding.
Absolutely, dude. The community is everything. We've talked about that so many times. I reiterate that a lot too. Is if your focus is more on the people. I mean, the cards are going to speak for themselves, but if you really take time to focus on the people in this hobby and the community aspect of it, and thinking about others as much as, if not more than you're thinking about yourself, this is such a wonderful, fulfilling place to be. And that's awesome that you were able to make a new connection. Do you have the cards that you got from him by any chance?
I actually do. So speaking of the monthly wrap, the one that I did the offline deal for was this Platinum Medallion Ichiro.
So sick.
The 2004. And I love this picture. I love the way it's kind of shaped on the card. This one versus the 2005 has a real platinum background. I think the 98 is still always going to be my favorite with that embossed name and everything. But this one still really has a fantastic look for the early 2000s ones. So to me, just super awesome, fun pickup. And then the other one, which is, I would say, an unexpected, it almost made it into the unexpected pickup category for our blog post, was this Griffey that is something I never would have initially considered picking up. But this is the 2014, and it's just from the standard paper flagship Topps product. So hitting relics in that is basically impossible. I think the odds for this are 1 in 2,800 or something like that.
Wow. Okay.
And there's a good number of players. I think it might be 20 or 30 players on the checklist for this. So imagine getting a Griffey. That's basically impossible, right?
Right.
So it just really fits in my collection in the sense of it's just something you might never see get pulled again because of the odds of seeing a Griffey. And it's Mariners uniform. It ticks all the boxes for me. I do love the flagship relics. So for me, it was unexpected. Wasn't looking for this card at all. It was one of those I believe it was actually, I was scrolling through a saved search and it just showed some more kind of like this search.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, what is this card? I've never seen this. I've never looked for it.
Yeah.
And now I must have it.
Dude, eBay is just like those Facebook ads. You know, you've caved on a couple of them, right? Whether it's
Oh
like
yeah,
a new
this was a
video
cave.
or something.
This was absolutely a cave card where like I was not looking for it at all, and now I have it, and I'm stoked. It's a great card. I know it's just like a napkin looking piece, but the actual card
Right.
is really cool. The picture's cool. The odds are insanely long. It's a perfect piece that's going to fit when I'm flipping through
That's
the
awesome,
grippy
man.
part of my collection. So
Yeah, great. Well, since you're referring to a blog post, as we do every episode, we like to remind people, and again, it's very bare bones still, but our website is joyofthehobby.com. And we're slowly but surely making it better. But if you go to our blogs, we actually just published our monthly wrap for the month of February. It's our very first one. And I don't want to take everybody through it completely, but you're going to see kind of us run through some different categories in here. And then we have a little bit of a wrap up that we do at the end. And another one thing I want to shout out here is Ben just put up a recent post, and it'd be great if people had some feedback either on this episode or in the blog, but Ben's got a space that looks like this, and he's wanting people to jump in there and comment like, hey, how can I reorganize this? What do you think would look best? So if everybody wants to take a minute just to hop on joythehobby.com, go check out our blog and see this blog post that Ben has and give him some ideas, that would be wonderful.
yeah,
I mean, that's part of getting the community involved, right, Ben?
right, like ideas. I know some people work with smaller spaces. This is a relocation because we redesigned one of our rooms in the house, and this kind of nook became available. And so literally this picture I've even adjusted a little bit since then, obviously, but I just moved everything over there and just took a picture of like, imagine you're starting with this. What would you do? Or like, how would you organize, knowing you have to like print and package and take pictures and you want to make posts from there, but you also want to display cards and have, cases stored properly. Like, how would you tackle this to like sort of maximize the space?
Right. No, I agree. I'm excited to see what some ideas end up coming, what ideas you end up coming up with. And I've got a couple suggestions, but I want to try to give the community a chance to jump in there. So if anybody has any suggestions, let us know. I want to say hi to Jeff. Usually does a great job. Jeff, sorry about the game yesterday. Elvis Lincoln's played amazing, but that no call really sucked. So I'm sorry it had to end that way. Great outdoor game. And hopefully I get to go to one soon. We had somebody from our team named Matt that was there. So hope you had a good time. And then we also have Bernie here. Bernie, what's up? You talked about recent connections that you made, Ben. Bernie and I had a really good chat. A couple of weeks ago, I posted on Instagram. I said, hey, has anybody noticed that there's just not a lot of time being taken to go and interact with people on Instagram? It's just a double tap, slide down, double tap, slide down. I mean, most people don't even read descriptions, and we've all been guilty of that. But 100%. One thing that was great is Bernie reached out on a story post I made. I'm not sure if you saw that, but I made a post like, hey, what's going on here? And he and I had this great conversation back and forth. So he recently became a fan of the podcast, and I just want to give him a big shout out for that. So yeah, welcome Bernie as well. Well, Ben, I'm excited about this first topic that we're going to talk about because again, it kind of goes into our blog post, which is really going to be fun to think about this month to month. So yeah, let's go for it, dude.
Yeah, so the topic I kind of wanted to bring to the table, and I sort of hinted at this a little bit with my summary of February in my post, and kind of looking at the cards that I collected and what I was thinking about for March. And one of the things that kind of came to mind that I chatted with you, Manuel, about a little bit is thinking about upcoming products and recent releases or releases that are upcoming. And of course, every time you see them get posted, you go through checklists, you start getting kind of excited. You see some photography you like, you see a design or something that you get excited for. And I've often struggled with getting excited and then figuring out how to like budget for a release or come up with like a strategy for an upcoming release that I'm excited about or looking forward to without just either overspending or being way too conservative and like ending up with nothing from the release, and it kind of comes and goes, and I didn't get to like enjoy, being involved in the release, because that's where you see a lot of content. You want to be involved in the content. You want to have, there's a way to like be involved in the hobby in terms of what's happening now, and that's generally like around a release and being involved in the conversation. And I think it's a difficult one, right? Because you could overspend, or you're ripping, or are you going through the full checklist and trying to pick out something in particular. Obviously, if you're a player collector, that trims it down significantly. But
definitely,
do you one, I guess, when you're looking through the releases that are upcoming, how do you create a strategy around like picking a release that you want to follow or be involved in that release, right? In terms of picking something you're going to purchase from that release.
Right. Well, like yourself, I like to be involved in all the new hockey releases that are coming out. And
Yeah.
I think that's why I've kind of started setting these parameters for different cards of non PC players, like a cool goalie card of, let's say, Connor Hellebuck. Most people that know hockey know him. He's probably going to win the Vezina this year, best goalie in the league. But I can use different, like if a set looks really cool, but Fleury isn't there, I might find a player out of that. So the first thing I do is I'm always looking at what are the case hits, because those are the most fascinating cards to me at the moment. And then I look for what cards does my PC player have. So Mookie Betts for you, Ichiro, Marc-Andre Fleury for me. So I go and see where can I get involved with this new release. And that way, if I see, well, Fleury is in everything, like Metal Universe, he was in everything.
Sure.
So I had to be like, well, geez, I guess I have to kind of really wait for the right deals to show up for certain cards. But then the other ones, I was like the Golden Goose Egg, I went for that thing right off the bat. But, I kind of look at who's in there that I want to collect and what are the best looking cards out of the release. Now, obviously, you don't get to see them all until release, right? But what I wanted to do is I wanted to show, I have Series 2 pulled up here. Now, this is usually what we release and a lot of other companies release. When we're 2 weeks out of a release or less, you're going to get the checklist, right? So you've got these solicitation images right here. These are all kind of mock-ups, what it's going to look like. You've got different ideas of what you're going to have to chase. A lot of what was in Series 1, some different inserts for Series 2, kind of funny, goofy stuff like that. And then when you get down here, you can look at the way Beckett publishes our checklist, right? They've got the base, the autographs, the inserts, the full checklist. So obviously what I like to do is I like to go over to full checklist and I will look up my favorite player, right? And Marc-Andre Fleury does not have any cards except this one insert. So then I'm like, well, what's the best version of that? Well, it's the black, which is 1 out of 240 hobby. Okay, cool. Well, there's going to be my chase card for my favorite player. But then I also noticed that the other, my other goalie that I collect, who's a Penguins rookie, he's got Young Guns and Young Guns canvas. So that basically gives me a plethora of things to chase, including this high gloss, which is like an ultimate chase card. So I guess what I'm getting to is I kind of tier it. I look at what cards can I easily find, and what is going to be my chase card from this product. So that way I have goals set. It feels like you're kind of achieving something along the way. Do you approach it in any different way, or is that something that's kind of new to you?
That's like eerily similar. Even obviously, I think most people kind of use the same website there, do the same search for your player, check the subsets. I obviously check those solicitation pictures to kind of see what some of the inserts are going to look like. The only other thing I do is I have a soft plan in place. Obviously, with Ichiro, it's going to be tough inserts for the most part that I'm looking for, or potentially autographs. I get picky about those because he signs a lot, so it has to depend on like the design, and a lot of factors go into whether I would even go for an Ichiro autograph because he signs in almost everything.
Well, you have one of the best ones out there, so
and that's the thing is, I have one that I'm pretty happy with. So, the only other thing I really do is keep an eye on like opening day, like breaks, like the first day that the product is allowed to be open. I'll hit a couple rooms just to get a feel for like how long some cards are, what people are getting excited for, and you just get a better feel for what the card looks like when you see it on video.
Definitely,
like what it actually looks and kind of feels like, and that can help narrow down some of the chases for me. But for me, specifically with newer products, I'm definitely becoming more of a bets guy, and so I'm really looking for. I'm kind of the same as you. The case hits for me seem to be the most fun sort of chases for me. Because in baseball, you have like the home field advantage cards. I think those are really cool. Every year they kind of iterate on those designs, and he's always in those. So those are like a fun chase. But pretty similar. I think the other hard part with a new release is being involved, but also if you set the parameters for just the things that you're looking for, just your specific chases of your players, you almost like miss the window to be involved in like the social community aspect of it. Does that make sense? Like,
Well, that is a tough thing that you fight because you want to pick up a card and then like get it posted within the first couple weeks that it comes out because there's hype around that release. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah, and you want to
that's
be a part of the conversation, and that's
yeah.
sometimes where you get tempted to, do I open this product? It's like,
No, don't.
yeah, and the answer is you should almost never open the product. Resist the urge, especially if we're talking about
Yeah,
budget for new releases. The urge
no.
to open needs to be resisted.
No, it's just it's so easy too. When you're a player collector and not a set collector, opening boxes just doesn't make any sense.
The
Honestly,
odds just don't.
financially, it
The
doesn't make
odds are
sense.
the odds are never in your favor. May
Never,
the odds never be
never.
in your favor.
I mean, and listen, I can say this just from the fact that we've seen a lot of our competitors' products. And for those that don't know, I do work at Upper Deck, and we're lucky enough to be able to kind of test certain things and take a look at it. I saw a product that we opened, and I better not say what it is. I just want to just because it's probably not the best thing to do, but we opened something that was over. It was in the 4-digit range, and what we got out of it was not even a quarter of the value. And that's the risk that you run. It's a huge eye opener for a lot of us that, opening a box is going to cost you big time, both ways. And so, I think you have to fight that urge of like trying to be involved in a release. You got to stay within the parameters of what you set, just like that's all about our goal setting at the beginning of the year. When we started this whole new podcast, is like you have to stay within the parameters that you've set for yourself as a collector. And it's easy to venture out of that because, look, a shiny object and another shiny object. Like you have to resist that urge as much as you'd like to be involved in it, and I've had that same battle since I started working here, right? I saw so many cool cards and I was buying cards of brand new players. So I had to
the temptation
pump the brakes.
Super difficult. Yeah.
At first it is, but then you get to check every product that comes out. So you get to kind of scratch the rip itch right from the get-go. Yeah. And then you can really just kind of narrow in on some cards that are coming out. And so I think it's just super important when you see new releases, because we all want something to look forward to, right? That's what we talked about. Like 90s collectors, man, they have it rough because you might get one card a month if you're lucky, and there's nothing new coming out. Like all these Bonds guys are excited though, because he's now signing again, right?
Well, for somebody like me that enjoys collecting Bonds cards, it's only created hype that I almost wish wasn't there. Because now you're seeing prices inflate. So I own a lot, so for me, I'm like, yay, my cards are, going up in value in some sense. But also, it means like overall, people are looking back, they're looking at his stats, they're like, oh, I should pick up some more Barry Bonds cards or bid on some more of his cards. It's like, okay, you don't have to.
Take advantage, dude. Take advantage of the situation. How many of those bonds do you actually want?
That's true. So maybe it's an audit cycle for me on some of those. Like, okay, Bonds is big in the hobby again. Those cards are bringing in a lot of hype. Like maybe I should pass along some of my Bonds.
It is a tough thing to think about too, for sure, dude. I did want to add one thing to this topic. When you see new releases come out too, if you're into hockey, at least Upper Deck, we put out actual images that come from production, so you can see what the cards are actually going to look like. And so there is a release coming out, and I don't know if they've announced the official date, but it's been moving a bit. So I think card shops have it for not this coming Wednesday, but the following Wednesday. So hey, if anybody likes the original EX baseball set, you're going to love how these look. But
that's right. Yes.
I wanted to show you the actual images of these cards. And so what I do is I go and look at, are any of these cards going to be something that I'm interested in, right? So here we have the credentials right here. This is what version is this? VIP credentials. The purple, and you've got that's what the base card looks like, which is awesome.
So nice.
Yeah, I mean they got them pretty close. They got them pretty close, which is wonderful. Here's just what the regular credentials looks like.
Nice.
Or the orange credentials, right? They're supposed to be a serial number here. So these are the essential credentials, and those are essentially, no pun intended, exactly how the originals look.
Yeah, the same like diamond pattern.
Yeah,
or diamond foil.
Sure. And then you've got the blue credentials here. And you've got there's the essential credentials, which, again, I can't wait to grab one of those. This is the gold essential credentials. And there's a card behind there, by the way. That's why it looks so funky. I just wanted to point that out because at first I was like, what the heck is up with this card? But so then you kind of work your way through here. Here's another gold Crosby. And then, of course, this comes up, the all access. And I believe that's either 10 or 25, number 10 or 25.
And of your dude.
Yeah. So you know that when I see stuff like this, I can be like, all right, this is something that I really want to target. Like if I know Fleury was in this set and there was no picture of him and I saw this, I'd be like, it's nostalgic. You know, it's going to be exciting, can be involved in the community aspect. But the other thing is you got to start budgeting for what you're going to be expected to pay. And so when I'm writing these down, I'm like, okay, like when I wrote that, I knew Fleury was going to be in the checklist months ago, right? But I was like, okay, what are these cards going to go for? So I kind of set parameters for myself so I can know what to expect. Because if you don't do that, you could be like, I don't know, it's too expensive. And as you know, when a product first drops, those rare cards, that's when they show up in like 2-3 weeks after breakers get them back. So it's a tough one, man. It's a tough one for sure.
Yeah, and then you get stuck. Do I pay the premium when it first shows up, or do I not? And if you don't, then you might have to wait a while to see a copy again.
Right.
You know, you kind of get that window of opportunity when the release first comes out. So you really do have to plan. If you see something you want that's going to be out of 25 or 10 or a case hit thing that is going to be very popular, you really have to budget that like a few months in advance.
For sure. But you also have to be ready to spring. Like that's the thing. If you look at and you say, okay, there's a parallel out of 50. Well, yeah, I might only see 1 or 2 on release, but we have EPAC and that stuff comes around in the future. And so it's just one of those things. You can be patient with that stuff. Even something out of 25 nowadays, you can be patient with it. But if it's a case hit or it's out of 10 or less, you have to prioritize those cards on release all the time. And then kind of work your way backward from there. It's a tough balance, right? Because you don't know when stuff's going to show up, right? I mean, how do you handle that, right? Because if you have 3 show up at once, like then what do you do?
I'll propose this to you because I kind of have 2 different strategies on this one. One strategy is, okay, I'm going to budget for this a few months in advance before the release for something that's like, honestly, I'll say some stuff that's even out of 25 or less, because sometimes those go into, for example, for me, if it's a Mookie Betts, there's some pretty avid Betts collectors that there's more than 25 of them. So there's a chance that all of those get pulled into a collection and they don't surface again.
Right.
And so I'm budgeting for that. And if the prices are just beyond even what I budgeted for on auction, then I have to make a point to keep a secondary list of these are the cards that I wanted from these new releases. And I have to like wait 6 months and like keep an eye on the save search, but know that I have to wait for the prices to come down and the hype to come down from the release. I don't know if you do that, or maybe even something's coming out that is going to have a card you want, and you can just, the price is going to be beyond the budget that you want to spend for like that month, and you have other stuff you're looking for. Do you then just say it's on my back burner list and I'm going to keep an eye out for it, but not pay like the new release premium?
That's a tough one, man. I think it just depends on the card, Like,
or do you just let it go? You just go, okay, it's just going to be out of my budget and I just need to not own that card.
I've had to do that before, but I'll find ways to convince myself why I don't like something, like if a case hit just looks
talk
like
yourself out of it.
I'm going to throw some, and we keep it positive. So I'm only saying this, and like, if you want collectors to love cards, you got to use good photos. And Panini, dude, they have just sucked with Justin Jefferson case hit cards. Like, I'm probably going to eventually sell them all anyway, but they've used the same photo on like 3 cards, or same 3 photo on like multiple case hits, like zoomed in, zoomed out, turned to the side. I'm like, what are we doing here? Right? Like, no.
Fun is getting a new picture of your player. That is like a big
on
part
a sick looking card. So like for Fleury, thankfully, it's always a new photo and he always looks amazing. So like that takes care of itself. But I definitely I know by now which cards are going to carry the new release premium and which ones I'm going to say, you know what? I'm just like the Cup, for instance. I try really hard to buy no cards from the Cup. It'd be like if Exquisite Baseball existed still. There's no way you're going to pay a Mookie Betts patch auto premium price the week of release. You're going to wait till that card out of 50, the patch auto, comes back down to earth. It's like Gilded Collection, right? You want to wait till those 99 base come down a bit.
That's so Gilded for me since the 2022. So.
Oh, do we lose Ben? All right, I'm going to talk through this a little bit. I don't think we've had this issue where we've lost Ben before, but I'm going to show some comments here.
22.
Are you back?
Now.
You're back.
My thing is to get the.
Okay. All right. Continue. Go for it.
Yeah, I was saying Gilded Collection is a good example. So I've been getting the run of Ty Cobb's minus the 1 of 1 every year from that one because I love the way it looks.
I didn't know you were doing that.
Yeah, but because the premium is so high on those cards when they first come out, I don't even go for the Cobb in the beginning unless it's the one that's out of 15, because that one really doesn't show up. So I'll grab that one on new release, and then I will wait for the other ones like 6 months, and the prices will come down 40% on all the other parallels.
That's a really good way to approach it. Now, Doug, I want to ask you, actually, let's ask everybody. We've got a few people in there. I haven't had a chance to shout out Persh's Corner. And of course, Doug made it in here. Luke made it in here. I want to ask a question to all of our viewers. Like, when a new release comes out, what is the cutoff for, even if I have to overpay, but I'll be stoked. You're welcome for that, Ben. What's the cutoff for buying those cards? Because for me, Ben mentioned 15. It's kind of like 15, maybe 25 and under if the card looks amazing. If it's like, especially if it's a patch auto or a patch or a really super short printed card. Some of those releases, like for instance, Ben, like MVP, like Fleury has been in it every year of his career except this year. And that's because we thought he was going to retire. But if a superscript comes out, those are out of 25, and that's a super cheap product. And if you get a superscript, it's huge. So that I go as hard as I can for some of that stuff. So it's really interesting. I'd love to know what everybody's cutoff is. And while we're getting some comments, I would love to show a couple here. Doug said, gotta love generational rookies that become the main chase if your guys you collect are also in the product. So many huge discounts since the main value card was the big rookie. And I'm going to jump on that and say, every Bedard product, like Ben, you know who Connor Bedard is, even though you don't collect them. The thing is, any product that Fleury was in, that Bedard was in, which is any 23, 24 product, more of that's going to be open to chase those cards. And so more was readily available, right? And so it was perfect, honestly. I loved it. That's a great point that Doug brings up, and then these guys agree with him as well.
Same to if you're somebody that was chasing like a rookie or your player in the Topps Chrome update, the Paul Skeens patch was a big deal, and the price of that product was inflated. The second it got pulled, now you can go get your player, or if you wanted to get some of that product or whatever. Huge discount, because that was the big chase.
This is a great point here. And you're right. As soon as that card was pulled, as funny as that story was, I hope it's real. I really do. Everything was so cheap. 25 and under for inserts, and we'll hold out until later for others. I mean, I love that you have a cutoff amount too, because if you're kind of looking at that, even if you're a modern rainbow chaser, other than like the red refractor, maybe the oranges, if I'm just taking Topps Chrome, for instance, you can get everything for cheap later on. Everything. So like save the rest of it for later and grab the 25 and unders if you can for a reasonable price. And I think that's a great.
I think especially for rainbow chasing, that's a really good strategy. Is just stay under that number amount for any of the ones to fill my rainbow, and then save for the other few.
Yeah, for sure.
That red lava, anything like that.
And then Luke jumps in and says, I just overpay and don't look back. I love that. It's the cost of my sanity to get the cards I want and not have to worry about it anymore. That you talked about it before, Ben, the mental energy cost, time and energy cost.
Good point. That's a good point, because my strategy of like putting stuff on that back burner list, now it's on my mind. Now it's a saved search. Now it's something I'm having to check on constantly, worry about it. Oh man, if an auction goes off during the workday and I happen to be in a meeting, I miss it. Oh, the angst. There is something to be said about overpaying maybe 15% more than you normally would, and just not having to think about it anymore. Like that is something to keep in mind for new releases.
Absolutely. I mean, we've all been guilty of like bidding and losing out, and then you're like, please tell me this went for way more than I was wanting to pay.
Actually, so I had one today. It was an Ichiro card from 2004, numbered out of 15. Not a crazy card, not even one I was super excited about, but number out of 15, something I'd never even seen before. Got distracted doing something else. The auction went off, and it went for like a low amount. And the anxiety of missing it, is like, it's one of those things that reminds you when the card comes up, pay attention, make sure you grab it. And it's just as true for new releases for stuff out of 15 or 25. Just If it's there, grab it. You don't know when you'll see another copy, and it's just going to be on your mind.
Dude, I think I blame myself for losing a Glassnow 101 from Stadium Club, the true 101 for like $40. I blame that on the fact that I'm probably going to sell all my Glassnows because it's just like it just deflated me. There was, but
devastation.
Yeah, but it's a reminder. Like if we're talking about, again, our theme of this whole thing is joy. Like, hey, if you don't want to feel the stress, be on top of it.
Yeah,
I
be on
love
top.
this. Southers love me.
Yeah,
I would love it too. If you want to buy some Tyler Glassnows, I've got you under control. A couple more things before we jump to the next topic. Doug says, I've always calculated pack cost pull odds. That is very interesting. If the card is $100, but the pack odds is in the thousands, if you don't get lucky in pulling exactly at that odds, then you can feel out how much you overpay. I mean, that's another thing too. Like some of these,
this card.
Yeah, like that is a perfect instance because if you were to calculate perfect odds of that being in a 20 card set with like 1 out of 1,800 packs times 10,
2,800.
I mean, it's insane. You know what I mean?
So what's the value of that card? If you had to buy wax to get that card, you're talking $10,000 of wax to pull that card.
100%. But Doug brings up a really good point. I mean, these are all the things that you need to consider when new releases come out because we've all been guilty of like getting caught up in the hype. But you have to be able to kind of feel out which ones are worth chasing and which ones, like, for instance, that Fleury that he's going to have a black version of, that Ooh La La glove save card. It's a really cool picture, by the way. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, you're going to see like 3 or 4 of them in the first couple of weeks, but it's a tough ratioed case hit card, but that doesn't need to be more than $20. And so what's going to happen is somebody's going to jump at a $40 bin just because they want to be the first ones to own it. So you have to be able to remind yourself that there's going to be others. But if like 101 or the Yoel Blomqvist high gloss gets listed, I'm at the mercy of it being within the first couple of weeks rather than the off season, so it is kind of tough sometimes for sure. Last couple of comments here. I chase it, and honestly, it's tempting at first, but depending on what it is, I'll hold for a bit. And again, Persh, like you're saying, with Sid, he's in everything. And so you do get your pick of the litter. Go for the tougher stuff, just like Mookie Betts, Ben. Like you have your pick of the litter. You can basically go after whatever you want. You just got to be selective. That's the key. Yep. And then Bernie said Yzerman is not a ton of this, so it's case by case. Yep, that's kind of how it's going to be for Fleury after he retires. No hard rules. You kind of get to figure it out along the way. So yeah, I like that. All great things to talk about, Ben. I mean, now that we've talked about this, Ben, have you changed your maybe your approach in your head a little bit, or are you kind of just affirming what you were thinking?
Yeah, I think what Doug brought up about calculating the odds is something I don't normally do. I think about the rarity and like in watching breaks or something, you'll see how, infrequently something gets pulled. They'll say case hit and then you just feel like you don't ever see them. And you realize like odds for this might be actually way longer. Like that's something I actually will probably take into consideration moving forward is like how infrequently am I seeing this thing on the first release? Looking at the actual odds, doing the math, looking at the full checklist, because I do what you do. I search for my player and I go, boom. Sometimes I don't even look at how many players are in an insert list. And it could be if it's 35 guys, all of a sudden, ooh, that really changes things. I might not actually see my guy.
Right. No, it's definitely, there's a lot to consider and you need to do, we've said this phrase many times, do the research, take the time to do the research so you can make a good decision, or at least one that you're going to feel good about. Like Luke, I love that we've seen like a full plethora of everybody buying on new releases. Luke is like, I'm just going to grab it when I see it. It's a decent price. I got it. Boom.
Yeah.
Doug is extremely calculated. You and I are kind of in the middle, and then everybody else kind of falls in between. I think it's great to see all that because you can now decide for yourself. Don't get caught up in the hype. Grab what you can at prices that make sense, or just throw it all at the really rare card and work your way backwards. Like I think that's what you were talking about doing, right?
Yeah, feeling like you have that one out of the way if you're going for a run or a rainbow, something like that.
Yeah,
just put the effort in the initial release to grabbing that copy because you might not see it again.
For sure. Yeah, good. Well, that's a good discussion, man. I enjoy. I mean, I look forward to every new release getting posted on Beckett, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, hockey. Obviously, I get to take a little bit of a peek at stuff beforehand, just knowing what's coming out of my guy. But it's good to see what cards grab my attention. I think we're always looking for that next card that's going to make you go, ooh, like that. That is something interesting. And so, and it's fun too when you're sitting at a desk and coming up with those ideas that you hopefully can put something in the collector's hands where they go, okay, this is something really unique and special and different that I haven't seen before. And so I sure wish I could talk about some of the stuff that I've already planned on doing. But when it does come out, I can't wait for us to have maybe about a year from now, have an episode where I can like hold up one of those cards and be like, this is one of those cards, where you're thinking,
that'd be exciting.
It's going to be fun. But let's jump into our second topic here. I do want to chat a little bit about and we're not going to maybe do this every month because we're doing a month in review blog post every month, but I really wanted to kind of go through and give us an opportunity to show a few of those cards and also talk about what the process was like going back and looking at the additions we've made each month. So I'll throw this out to the viewers to kind of get their minds wrapped around, and then we'll jump into it. So my question for everybody in the chat is, how often do you get the cards back out and kind of look through what you've purchased every month? Do you organize your collection as it comes in? Are you pricing everything out? Are you just kind of getting so much in that you have time for that? Like, I'm curious about everybody's process of just, each week or each month or each year, just kind of looking at the decisions that you've made, because Ben and I, we really dove into this blog post and wanted to get into like the psyche of why each card was purchased this month. And we didn't do every single card, but we broke it into categories, right? So it was, I don't know about you, but it was sure a lot of fun for me to kind of look through and decide on which cards fit that category.
Not only was it fun to figure out which cards fit that category, but it was fun to pick winners. So I went through all the cards that I had for the month of February, and I kind of put them in those categories, like where would this fit, and then had to sort of rank them to figure out which one would be the one I would post, which gave me some perspective, because I almost considered this to be almost like a retrospective of the month, right?
Yeah,
like an analysis of myself, or like an audit. And it was very interesting to rank them and then go, would I actually have been just as happy if I had just gotten this one that fits in this category?
Mm-hmm.
And not the other ones? Or am I really happy that I have these and I'm just going to post this one, but they all make me happy, that I got them in, which is a very interesting way to review cards, to force myself to only pick, 5 that fit in these distinct categories. It was a really good exercise.
Well, and there's always going to be that little caveat of you don't know what's going to show up and when it's going to show up. You collect older Ichiro stuff. Even Marc-Andre Fleury's Penguin stuff is really spotty. They're really rare stuff. A lot of people are holding it because his prices are going they're literally headed this way right now. It's crazy, dude. So there's always going to be that kind of dangling there, hey, there could be something better, but there could not. So you're not going to be considering that. You see something that really fits well into the collection, you go for it. But I'm going to start off, and I'm curious if you're in the same boat. I've definitely been very selective and also very intentional with every card that I have coming in. My incoming list has been 10 or less this entire month, and it's been amazing.
That's exactly how mine has been. I pulled everything out and was like, I actually don't have that many cards that actually came in for the month of February. I kept it very streamlined, and that included some unexpected pickups. But I will say, in being more focused, like we've talked about, and being more dialed in on exactly what we want, I'm 1, happier with every card, and 2, had the money in my monthly budget left over to pick up the unexpected things. Whereas if I was just picking up a bunch of stuff kind of ad hoc on a whim, I wouldn't have maybe had, or it would have been tight or a little uncomfortable to go for something that showed up that I was like, whoa, I wasn't looking for that, but what a cool thing to be able to grab.
Right.
So it's been a real boon to picking up stuff that's been exciting and having the space and freedom to pick up something unexpected without feeling like I have to sell something else or figure out what to sell.
That's so cool, dude. And that's what the kind of our idea was from the outset of this month, or from this year, having these goals, because we really wanted to make ourselves stay within these different constraints. Now, I will say I ventured a little beyond my goal of only 5 cards per month, because I wanted to grab a few of a goalie that I really felt was like similar in like build and play style that I want to mimic. As much as I'd love to be like Marc-Andre Fleury, he's like the most flexible, athletic guy in history, probably as a goalie, arguably. And, you know, that's a great goal to get to for when I'm in my 40s. But I think if you were to remove that, I stayed pretty well within, I'm looking at all my additions this month. For the most part, I stayed within those constraints very well. And so I'm excited to kind of dig into that. I do want to show a few comments here real quick. Great facts from Doug. So Doug says McDavid 15-16 year was unreal on the pack odds on those Bure autos inserted in SP Authentic. So just to paint the picture, imagine Ohtani's rookie year and he's in an on-card auto product, but you've got a veteran or a retired player who's got cards in there. Why would you want to chase those cards by opening packs? It's like impossible to
It's impossibly expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. So original buy price on a couple of them was $125, but one carried a 1 out of 74,980 odds. And now that stuff goes for $185 a pack. So then he basically continues by saying those autos sell for $2K now, but do the math on 185 packs times 74,980.
Yeah.
Right.
That's like, okay, you pull the trigger. Don't open anything.
Yeah, exactly. And then this is responding to my question about how often do you look at what you got each month. Persh says all the time, I have my Sid and my Ovi in one box and organize them by year and have to look at them all the time because I haven't finished my checklist yet with them, so I don't buy duplicates. I'm going to throw this out here to you, Persh. Go check out Trading Card Database. It's a bit archaic, but it's a great way to organize. And literally, you can go to a card in a checklist in any set, insert base, whatever, and you can see if you've added it to your collection or not. So that's how I check. Do you do something like that too, Ben, where you can confirm if you have something or not?
Yeah, Card Ladder is the one I use. It's a little more of a
right.
modern option. It has a mobile app. Very easy to just search your collection and see if you've added something in there. You'd have to manually add everything, but if you fill in all the fields, it's actually nice for you because it'll track the value of your card for you based on recent sales. There's a little extra for you. But if you just need like a running list,
nice.
Trading Card Database
That's awesome,
is an easy one.
Yeah, Trading Card Database is the best free one, and then Card Ladder. If I was going to start paying for this, I would definitely use that because it'd be great to see where certain Fleury cards are, especially as higher end cards that I got around for sure. And Luke has some great comments here. If you want to go for it, Ben, what did Luke say for us?
Oh yeah, Luke is saying photography is a big part of my process, so I photograph cards as soon as I get them in, then file them alphabetically by year in my save. Then I catalog the photos in my phone. I look at the pics daily.
Nice. And he continues on with this as well, monthly. And then he also said this, Ben.
I keep a top 50. Oh, that's smart. I keep a top 50 list that I update periodically to see what has changed. I try to mostly target cards that will change in that list, or that will change that list. Okay.
That's sick. That's similar to me, like saying, what can I grab that deserves to go in here and displace one of these like something in there. Yeah, that's a great way to approach it. And I'll start off by showing a card here. This is a card from a very cheap product called O-Pee-Chee. It's a $60 box. Can't find boxes under $100 anymore, right? But look how amazing this card looks, right? Like with all the different foil on it.
I mean, yeah.
Out of 75, it's like this was a $15 card. I mean, like, come on, dude. That's perfect, right? And that's a card that even though it's $15, it would look great in there. So I try to hold to that as well. Now, I know you talked a little bit about kind of following that. Is that what you're trying to do with that new space you're talking about?
Yeah, that's one of the things I want to do in that space is create kind of like at least one of those cubes should be like a top cards area. And for me, it would probably be mostly split with like bonds in each row. My vintage cards, I keep that like a pretty small list. Like I really have slimmed that collection down to maybe like 40 cards total. I pull those out and I can flip through them real quick and put them away. So I don't need to display those. It's more the modern stuff or the active player stuff that I kind of want to display and keep an eye on to do the same sort of strategy. Like, okay, what could I chase for that will knock something out of the top here,
For sure.
Like playing like King of the Hill sort of thing. Like
that's good. Well, I hope a Griffey makes it into that display case too, at least one.
I got a couple that can fit in there, and then maybe I play that game with the Griffies as well.
Okay, good, good. And then got a couple comments here. Good call. My friend just got me on that. It's been slow roll, but good call. Which one are you referring to, by the way? Because I'd be curious to know your thoughts on whether it's Trading Card Database or Card Ladder, because they're both fantastic at what they do. Some great comments here, stuff I hadn't thought of. That's one of the beauties of this show is like when people get involved in the chat and Ben and I start talking and sharing their ideas, I think it gives people a chance to interact with the community and also some food for thought. That's always been the goal.
I will say this is as much fun for me to be able to like hang out with Matt and chat as it is to selfishly get ideas from other people and the community to help improve the way I collect and like round table it. Like we get better by communicating and chatting with each other.
For sure. And I'll jump on that and say too, like, I don't know how many of you have really, really good friends in the hobby, even if you've only met them a couple times, but like Ben and I always chat at least once a week. Like I'm on a break, he's done with work, and it's a great way to connect, but it's also, again, just like we're doing now, we're kind of talking through like, hey, do you have an idea for this? Or what are you thinking about this? Like, yeah, I highly recommend it. Take the time, reach out, like just like we did as kids. It's like hanging out and looking through each other's cards and just calling each other.
Or reach out to us, or DM, or we're on Instagram. We don't have the post really rocking yet for Joy of the Hobby, but we're Joy of the Hobby on Instagram. Like DM us if you want to chat or have a question or an idea or something, whatever. Like hit us up there. Or if you're feeling stagnant with your cards or something, I go through phases where I'm like, ugh, I need to get excited again. And it's always like chatting with somebody or talking about cards or a thing in the card sphere will get me like excited again.
For sure. Nothing's going to compare to being at the National, because I felt like that was like the peak of all of our card interest. Ben was finding packs of old late 90s stuff. We were talking about, athletes and all these other things. So like those are irreplaceable moments, but like trying to recreate that feeling in between Nationals is always exciting to do for sure. Okay, so TCDB, very nice. I've actually got a couple people that hopped on there this week that got started. So I'm motivated to start getting my Flurry binders uploaded. Yes, you're right. There is not enough. We need more. Bernie, bring more people. Bring more people. So we thought we'd kind of finish up by doing some show and tell. We talk a lot, but we don't get a chance to show a lot of cards. So without any like particular category, Ben, let's just kind of go back and forth and show some cards that came in this month that we're really excited about.
So I'll show a duo, and this is a duo that I picked up because I was more strict with what I picked up this month. So when these came along, almost like back to back, I was like, great, I'm going to get these and knock this out. This is 2004 Play Ball. This is the Tools of the Stars set. So it's Game Used Bat. They did like the little imprint, like laser design,
nice.
the logo. I initially, this was one of those cheap but fun. I picked it up for I think $4 just because I kind of like the design of the card. It's just
and that's a Game Used bat, legit Game Used
bat.
Wow,
like, how cool! Early Ichiro Game Used bat for $4 and some change, and then literally like 2 days later, the gold version popped up. I was like, well, this is perfect. I have to get it, and it's numbered to 25. So these things basically never pop up. Anything 2001 to 2005 Ichiro that's out of 25, you just never see.
That is sick, man.
Happened to pop up in the same time. So in 1 month, I picked up both copies. and I ended up getting this one for like 35-ish bucks, something like that. So
that's
again,
a great deal.
Cheap. It just isn't something people are normally looking for. And to me, it's like an upper deck. They use Play Ball. For me, as a vintage guy, Play Ball is a throwback to the old Play Ball sets from 39 to 41. Like it again, for me as a collector and a lover of baseball history, it ticks all the boxes.
Perfect. I love that. And that's something we're trying to aim for, is like each card that's coming in, it's ticking all the boxes, or it's ticking many boxes to where you can say, is there anything I can find with this card that would make me think, like maybe just the cheap one, but even then it still fits in like is less than $5 and is a Game Used bat of one of the best hitters that ever played the game. Like, seriously?
It's like, and really for me, what happened was this was going to be part of the strategy for the box you gave me. Stuff that I like, but it's under $5. I can throw it in that box and start kind of filling that thing out with like fun but inexpensive cards. And then this popped up. I was like, well, now these are going into the main Ichiro.
And those cards
I tried to add something to the blue box, but I couldn't.
Those cards are going to be great display pieces too. Those are the perfect cards to like have up and just, it's not very expensive, but you can sit up there and you can think, I think about the history of this card and all these different aspects of it. And great addition, dude. And I want to give a shout out to Brent Richards and Baseball Cards. Really appreciate you saying that. Thanks, Brent.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Doug does use trading card database. Doug, can you do me a favor and message me on Instagram what your trading card database is? Because one thing you can do is you can look at each other's collections, and I can go and say, man, like, look at Ben's Bonds collection. I didn't know he had all these great cards, or Doug's Bure collection. So it is a fun way to stay connected on there for sure. And then Purse said, very nice. Yes. All right. So this card goes with the theme of your post a couple of weeks ago about the rainbow, right? We talk about rainbows without doing like, and I've done it with Glass now, chasing like 30 cards. And it's just like, oh my gosh, dude, it is such a huge undertaking. And so this is for all the hockey collectors out there. On EPAC, we released 21-22 Fleer Ultra. And that was the first set that Gene worked on. Everybody knows Gene worked on all the early Fleer products and brought us Essential Credentials among many other beautiful, wonderful cards. And definitely have her on here someday. I would love to have her on. And she's a collector too of different things, but like vintage pottery and all this stuff. So cool. But when she first got hired back, she worked on Fleer Ultra, and they did medallions for the first time, and they did 6 or 7 different parallels. And I've been chasing the blue. Geez, my camera's all over the place here. I need to turn that function off anyway. So we've got the out of 25, kind of like a light blue. It's called Sapphire, but it's not a crazy fancy card or anything like that. I love the back, by the way. The back,
the back awesome. Is cool.
Because they kind of zoom in on the photo there. But for me, I've been waiting like 3 years or so to finish, minus the 101, the black 101, to finish that rainbow off. And I love the picture. And I'm going to try to take a picture with the whole, because I have it in my top loader binder. It was really exciting to find it for like 15, I think it was like $17.99. And just to be able to complete that was really a wonderful feeling, because the other ones that have showed up, I remember I lost one and it went for like $70 on bids, and I was on like 65. I was like, fine, I'll try to finish this rainbow, and I still didn't get it. So I'm really glad that I waited. So it feels awesome.
That's one of those relief pickups almost. It's exciting, but it's also a relief.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what category. Oh yeah, I know what category it went in. I don't want to spoil it. So you guys should go check out the blog that Ben and I just posted. It's like a month in review, and that card is in that blog post, and it fit into a perfect category. I was looking through my cards, and I didn't even have to think when that category came up. So that was perfect. Anyway, so yeah, that's a very that one's done and dusted. Thank goodness. Right. What do you got up next for us, dude? I'm excited to see if this can top the Ichiro.
Well, I definitely can't, because I already showed the Platinum Medallion, which was a huge pickup. But this is kind of a bit of a random one, but I, again, made it to the blog post. It's one that's I've been waiting for a long time, and not necessarily waiting because the print run of these is pretty high, but it's just been one of those I've wanted for a long time, because I've had the Ichiro for forever, and I just never had picked up pools. I've seen many come by, and finally found one that was just a really, really good price for one of these. And it happened to be at the local card shop. The guy that's one of the owners there now texted me and said they got one in from a collection. And so I was able to buy it from the card shop where I had my first job ever working at a hobby shop.
Let's go.
So it's like a copy from them. And it was cool to have them reach out to me and say like, hey, we know you'd mentioned this before. You showed us your Ichiro. Do you want this one? I was like, yes, definitely. And they made they had a great price on it. And they are just, those E-tops are just really beautiful in person.
They
are super, super refractory, super shiny. And it's anything like Ichiro from 2001 that also had a Pujols complement. I kind of like having both. I mean, one of my favorite cards being the Tops Traded with both of them on there.
I knew you were going to say that.
It's the ultimate card. I have that card and I have the gold version of it. Like, so anytime I can have the complementary Pujols and like, display them side by side, it's super fun. So it's one of those, like, I should have checked off years ago. I just never got around to getting a copy, and it was fun to get one from like a hobby shop and one that I worked at. Always support your LCS when you can, when the prices are reasonable.
Absolutely.
I really paid about the same prices I probably could have gotten for one on eBay, but I would much rather buy one from a hobby shop.
It feels way better. It feels way better.
Oh, way better.
Come on now. Yeah, 100%. Well, and that, I only own this many Ichiros right now, and that's the Ichiro that I own. I bought it when I was living in Washington there for like 3 months. I went to one of the LCSs there, and they had like 3 of them. And I'm like, can I see them? Which one's in the best condition? Just so for my peace of mind. And I just can't get over. They're very Topps Gold label-y. Like they're very similar in design.
Yeah, that same
and
shine. Yeah,
such a beautiful set, man. Such a
yeah.
beautiful set. Great card, and I love the connection with the hobby shop. That
It makes it
will
even better.
always carry
Again,
memory.
it's one of those things that like there's a lot of reasons to look back at a card and be fond of it, and like having a connection with like an LC. Honestly, going into an LCS, having a conversation, getting to know someone there that works there, and then buying a card like creates a memory with the card as well.
100%. No, that's great, dude. Well, I'm glad you got to add that. There's two more that I really want to show here. I think kind of going into the, one of our categories that is talking about really cheap cards, but cards that still look amazing, even though they're like $10 or less. I think that was the threshold we set.
Yeah.
And I just, for me, I'm really a fan of trying to make autographs look a little different. Like every athlete signed in that blue Stabilo or black Stabilo pen for Aegis, right? Since the beginning of autograph cards. And for me, I know we have these different paint pens and different pens that they can use. The athletes can
bronze and gold and
Yeah. So for me, this goalie played amazing in the outdoor game yesterday too. So fun little segue. I saw this SP Authentic Sign of the Times, and it's the gold pen with the black background. I mean, think about it. If this was your favorite athlete, you'd probably want a copy of it.
I would have to have a copy. Sign of the Times also is just one of the all-time best. It's always placed so well and designed so well for the signature. Like from the beginning, when Upper Deck started Sign of the Times, they've always just done a great job with that set.
Right. And shout out to my buddy Tony, who I work with. He does SP Authentic every year, and he includes these, and I absolutely love them. Now, these are supposed to be inscribed, but if you see, even though it's reversed, it's at a 99. Elvis was like, dude, you're having me sign all these other cards. I think I'm just going to put my auto on there. But he did a great job with the auto. And so, very excited to add that, especially after how well he played yesterday in the outdoor game. It was a funny little side thing. When he weren't doing his warm-up, it's kind of like more for like the media to take pictures of the players warming up and doing all this stuff. And he was wearing his name is Elvis, his first name. He's wearing sunglasses under his mask during the outdoor practice.
Oh,
and
awesome.
I'm like, I'm gonna, when I go into work Monday, I'm gonna go back to photo and be like, look, when SP Game Use comes out and we put these jerseys in like this set, you have to use him with the glasses in the picture. Like, I don't care what else you do, just please fulfill that request on his like patch card with the glasses. Like, perfect. That would be great.
Can we get those sunglasses and put those in a card?
Yeah, no, I don't want to do that. That's a bit much. Yeah. Thanks for that, dude. Appreciate it. Yeah, the gold ink really sits at a
gold on black is great.
All right, what else you got for us there, dude? We got a few minutes left. Maybe another card or two.
I'll do at least this one more. So this one, Ichiro, this is Donruss like Team Hero set. So it was kind of a set that wasn't very popular. But the reason I really liked this one and was happy to pick it up is it's the stat line. And so they always did this like, foil version for the stat line cards. But this one's fun because it happens to be jersey numbered at a 51.
That's sick.
And that just happens to be the stat for the number of RBIs he batted in. So it's just a complete coincidence card. The stat lines are just numbered to any stat line they pick for the stats for that season.
Right.
And it just happened to be 51 RBIs. So it happened to line up with his jersey number. And for me, that's anyone that's like a jersey number Ichiro is a fun pickup. I also do like the design of this card, like the border they did. It is kind of a cool, different design. Great picture. But anytime you get something that's like out of a jersey number, super fun. And the coincidence just makes it a goofy, great card.
For sure. Well, I gotta admit, some of the more like non-flashy designs, but that have rarity to them, older cards, like I'm all over that, dude. Like, and this is not a bash to my favorite card company in history besides Upper Deck Pacific and Mike Kramer, but they did a lot of rare stuff out there that doesn't necessarily like look any like crazy, right? Like maybe threw a stamp on there, but like they created some pretty rare chase cards back in the day. And I get excited if a Jocelyn Thibault shows up of like a premiere date that, you haven't seen 6, 7, 8 years. It's like, it doesn't have to be flashy, but it's numbered to their jersey number or like the games they played. Like that kind of stuff is always exciting because it's kind of under the radar rare. Well, but
that's the thing
people
about
like us will appreciate it.
Like the Team Heroes was its own product, but it was not a popular product. So not a lot of this was opened. It was not collectible at the time. It was not exciting. It didn't have any like autographs or like, huge chase cards in it. So a lot of it just didn't get opened. So finding one of these, you don't even find boxes of this. I think a lot of that product got thrown away.
Oh, probably did. I mean, just like collector's choice, right? Think about the
Trash.
prime choice
That's
reserves,
trash.
you know, like a lot of them made it to the trash, unfortunately, which really sucks because
Yeah.
there's some rare, they're really rare, like the gold Star Quests. I mean, geez Louise, right?
Yeah, there's just some stuff in cheaper products you never see surface because the product just wasn't popular, it didn't get opened.
Yeah, that, I mean, so it's created extra rarity for you. So you could like justify maybe paying a little bit more because of that. Bernie, I did want to say, if you wouldn't mind on Instagram, shoot me your username and I will friend request you on there. It'd be fun to follow your collection. We'll get Ben on there eventually. Don't worry. He doesn't have a huge collection. So
I can get I keep saying I don't have a huge collection, and then I start uploading things as one of my goals to get everything I have onto Card Ladder. I'm like, I think I have more than I let people on to know.
Usually seems like that, right? Compared to other collections. Right. All right. I've got a surprise card. You have no idea I own this. Nobody has any idea I own this, but it's funny enough. I think I mentioned this. Yeah, I was talking to my buddy Logan. You can check him out on Instagram, Lomac12. He also plays goalie, and he's been huge in like helping me like get a few things figured out. But just a fun guy to sit down and talk with, just like you. And I said, you know what? I went and looked at certain players' cards, and I cannot believe how cheap they are now. Like, if you know football even a little bit, think back to 2012 to 2016, even 2019. Which quarterback was an absolute stud that entire run? And if it wasn't for the stupidest call in Super Bowl history, would probably be a 2 or 3 time Super Bowl champ by now. Anybody know who I'm talking about?
Russell Wilson?
Absolutely, yes. And my bond with my father got a lot stronger with sports like it used to when I was a kid because, A, he lives in Seattle. And his father, my grandfather, loved the Seahawks, but his stepdaughter was a Seagal during those years. And so he went to every home game, including playoffs, for like 6 straight years. And so I have a case it here that I wanted. I remember seeing it when it first came out. When he was in his heyday, like up to 2019, these cards were expensive, especially during COVID.
Sure.
But I found from Panini Phoenix, one of the only products that I really like from them because their case hits are sick. I've got the Enfuego case hit of Russ.
Oh, that's a cool looking card.
Hopefully it'll focus in here. Yeah. So nice die cut, supposed to look like a flame. Seahawks Russell Wilson, dude.
So that looks so good.
And you're gonna fall out of your chair when I tell you how cheap it was too. That's the craziest thing. Like again, during COVID, this was a $100 to $150 card, and I got this for like $20. I think $25 or something. That was crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah. So it's an absolutely beautiful card. It's so unique, and I mean, again, you could have like maybe added some dimples in the printing if you really wanted to go crazy with it, but it serves the purpose of what it's called, right? In Fuego. And again, I think what I want to do is I want to get a nice card from everybody from that team from the LOB days, you know, Sherm and Cham Chancellor and Doug Baldwin was my favorite player. So anyways, I figured that would be a nice little surprise. It didn't make it to the blog post, but it's a really, really fun card, and it just makes me smile because I have so many good memories up until
dude,
they didn't give the ball to Marshawn.
That's a fun side quest.
Yeah,
that'll be a really fun side quest to get some really cool, awesome cards that are copies that you really like of those guys.
Yeah, thanks, dude. Yeah, I'm excited to see kind of where it goes, and a lot of those guys, other than Marshawn Lynch, are not that expensive. So, that's pretty exciting stuff. But it's been a good month. I don't want to show anything else because I've got some stuff in the blog post for people to check out and see. I know you do as well. But overall, it was just a really fun, exciting month, and I'm really happy with being super intentional with the way that we're collecting now. You know, I think it's made it a lot more exciting, a lot more fun. When mail does come in, I get mail maybe once or twice a week if I'm lucky, and I like that because they're significant, and it's been a lot of fun. How about yourself, man? Are you liking this new way of going about it?
Not only am I liking it more, but I also feel like in doing this review or this like audit, I didn't have like any regrets of anything I picked up. And I feel like if I had done this in the past, I would have flipped through everything and been like, I kind of wish I didn't buy this. You know, I would have had some regrets. And I feel like really being focused and really now it'll be something that's in the back of my mind of like, I'm thinking about the end of the month and like my audit and being focused on here are the things I'm looking forward to. Here's the release that's coming this month. Be focused about what thing I'm going to pick up from that release, you know, and then being aware that it's okay if a curveball comes in. That's something we can probably talk about on the next episode for me, because this month has already been different for me, given I picked up something literally right away that I did not expect at all.
Right. Well, and that's going to happen, though. That's going to happen. Like there's going to be heavier months and there's going to be lighter months. That I've always said it. The universe finds a way to balance itself out, no matter what. And you know, maybe March is going to be a big one, but then going into the opening day with the season coming up, maybe April is another big one, but then May kind of settles down and June.
Then May will be quiet. If that happens, then I got to be real quiet before the national.
That's right. That's right. And I can't guarantee it, but I'm really hoping and trying that I will be able to be there, not only to work for my company, but also be there to just meet a lot of people, obviously you, but a lot of other collectors. Yeah, for sure. So cool, dude. Well, hey, this was a lot of fun this month. And I'm really, really excited for what's to come this next month. Obviously excited for our next episode. It's our guest episode of the month. So looking forward to seeing who we can come up with. And just want to give a shout out to everybody that jumped in here and had something to say. Black and gold will forever be awesome. That's true. Those are always good combinations. But Bernie, Persh, we got Doug in the house. We had Brent. We had Luke, of course, and we had Jeff all say something in the chat. And for those who didn't say anything, we appreciate you guys as well. It's been, again, the best part of this every 2 weeks that we do this, at least for now, 2 weeks, is just interacting with everybody. And we want to try to build a bigger community. So I do want to give a shout out to everybody, but also say the invitation's open. If you feel like you want to come on and contribute, you're excited about doing that, or you want to write for our blog post, reach out to us on Instagram, Joy of the Hobby, or on our personal Instagrams. We would love to get you involved for sure.
Yeah. If you want to be on screen, great. If you don't, and you just want to have something you want to write up, well, you can do a guest blog post. I think that would be awesome.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, we'd really love to do that. And I've talked to a couple people about doing that already. So we're really, really looking forward to getting the opportunity to get some more people involved and get our website in a really good spot. So anyways, everybody, I hope you have a great week ahead and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And thanks for being a part of this with us for sure. Any closing thoughts on your end there, Ben?
Yeah, I appreciate the comments tonight. You guys were really involved. This makes it so much fun. It gets me like amped and excited for the week. I know I've got some stuff I'm keeping an eye out for this week. Like I'll be making a post on Wednesday about something I have my mind on that I'll be hoping to get some comments on, get some thoughts on, because it's on my mind in particular for a card I'm watching. So thoughts would be very welcome. But yeah, thanks everyone.
Sweet. All right, guys. Well, we will see you in 2 weeks and take care. Thanks again for hanging out with us.